Many, many years ago, when I was a senior in high school, a friend of mine introduced me to the Corea Electric Band. I'd never heard anything quite like it, and the drumming blew my mind. I took that CD with me to college, my freshman year at New England Conservatory, and I basically wore it out. I lived in the dorms at New England Conservatory, and so while I was a classical major, I had plenty of people on my floor that were in the jazz program and were, of course, familiar with the name Dave Weckl. The Corea Electric Band was basically one of his big breakout gigs. It was what made him a star in the drumming community. A year later, over that summer, I had the opportunity to go see them perform live at Stratton Mountain, Vermont at their summer jazz festival. And my parents, God love them, bought me tickets and the whole family tickets for my birthday. I'd never seen Dave Weckl play. I was only familiar with his playing on that one self-titled Corea Electric Band album. It was a CD. You guys know what a CD is? It's one of these things. So at any rate, that day was a seminal moment for me. When I saw him perform live, the things I saw him doing all went right over my head. It just blew me away. It was so cool, but I had no idea what he was doing. And that put a spark in me that over the next several decades, I would, from time to time, start to try and work and discern and break apart, learn what he was doing, and incorporate it into my playing. It took me many, many, many years because I was an off and on drummer at the time. I was a classical major, and I really didn't get into drumming heavily and as a main part of my career until many years later. But I think I kind of got a handle on it. I'm not going to say I'm Dave Weckl, who is. Last month, I did a video called Linear Fills, a Primer. The basic building blocks you need to be able to start using your kick drum as an additional voice inside of your fills, within fast fills, the way I noticed and kind of started to observe drummers like Weckl were doing. But that was just basically a practice regimen. As I was doing this deep dive into linear fills, kick drum fills, I realized that there was a lot more that could be put into a 20-minute lesson. So at the end of that lesson, I told you guys, I'm going to do another lesson, a follow-up lesson, and we'll have some samples and examples, practical applications of these concepts. Well, as I started to record this lesson, I realized something. This is a really deep rabbit hole. So I'm going to do a 4-part lesson. So welcome to part 2 of linear fills. Buckle up. We're in for some fun. All right, so these examples are structured as follows. You're going to get a primary fill. The first one will be 2 hands, 2 feet. You will get them at 90 BPM, and then you will see sample at 135 BPM. In some cases, I have also chosen to do a halftime feel, which would be 32nd notes or 16th notes at 180 BPM, depending on how you feel it or how you write it out. I didn't do that with all of them, basically for 2 reasons. 1, the lesson's long enough as it is. And 2, some of these, I can't play them that fast yet. I wrote these randomly. I sat behind my computer, wrote them out, and then went and learned them. Some of them were easier to learn for me than others. I can do them all, but I can't do them all that fast yet. So after presenting this primary fill, you will then get orchestration options, reorchestrating around the kit, different stickings, different sound sources. In some cases, there are 2 reorchestrations, in some cases only 1. Of course, the possibilities are endless. You can do as many as you like, but I wanted to give you a few options so you could start working on different ways to approach it. In some cases, you will note that there are alternate stickings given in the music sample that accompanies the fill. Sometimes you may choose to want to end with a different hand, so the last couple notes you may choose to stick it a different way. And I like to be able to do it either way. If I want to go to the left and end with a left cymbal crash or end with a right cymbal crash, I'm going to change the way I stick the last couple notes. So if you see something like that, try it both ways. So after reorchestration of that primary fill and the multiple tempos, you're going to get displacements. So what is a displacement? A displacement is very simple. If you're feeling the beat, let's take that first example. Dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, hand hand foot foot, hand hand foot foot. So the beat lands here with your click. Dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, hand hand foot foot. Let's say we move that over one. So now we're going to start with the second of the two hands, then 2 feet, then 2 hands, then 2 feet, etc., etc. That would feel like this against the click. Dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat. Now let's move it over one more. So we're going to start with the 2 feet. Doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat doom doom, dat dat. And let's move it over the last displacement, which will be starting with the bass drum. One time, then 2 hands, then 2 feet. So boom bop bop, boom boom bop bop, boom boom bop bop, boom boom bop bop. So you will get displacements for each of these primary fills at multiple tempos, and then reorchestrations of those displacements as well. A lot to cover. So let's jump in with 2 hands, 2 feet. So if you've been able to get your head around that one, let's try and reorchestrate it around the kit. All right, so let's displace that. Let's do foot, foot, hand, hand. now let's reorchestrate this around the kit. Next displacement. Start with 1 foot, then 2 hands, then 2 feet. All right, so let's try and reorchestrate it around the kit. All right, so let's displace it now. Again, let's do hand, foot, foot, hand, foot, foot, hand. now let's reorchestrate this around the kit. By now, hopefully you guys are starting to get an idea of how this all works with the original pattern, the reorchestrations, and the displacements. So let's move on to our second pattern of the day, which is 3 and 1. 3 in the hand, 1 in the foot. So let's do a displacement. Start with the kick drum. Foot, hand, 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 foot, hand, 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 foot, hand, 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 foot, hand, 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 hand. Kick drum's going to be on the beat. that's pretty good. Let's do the next displacement. Let's do hand, foot, hand, hand. Dat, doom, dat, 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 doom, dat, dat, dat. And for the final displacement, let's start with two hands, one foot, then the last hand. So it'll be hand, hand, foot, hand, 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 foot, hand, 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 foot. So that about wraps it up for the lesson, guys. One final thought, you may have noticed in all the music examples that accompanied each fill, I included dynamics. I included ghost notes, I included accents, and then some notes that were neither. Obviously, I wouldn't expect to be able to do that right off the bat, but if you're a more advanced player that has better hand control, better height control, I would definitely try and do those things. I put those in there for phrasing purposes. Rather than just banging out every drum the same volume, you can take something that would sound typically one way and make it sound completely new. So just food for thought. Next time, we'll be back with 2 and 1 and 3 and 2. So I'll see you in a couple weeks. Hey guys, please forgive me, but I got to move some product here. So if you've been checking out this channel for a while, I got to assume you've been coming here for a reason, and that's obviously you want to get better at the drums. So if maybe you've been thinking to yourself, maybe it's time to get a teacher and push it to that next level and learn some new skills. So I will put my direct contact information in the description below, and any of you that might be interested in perhaps studying with me, feel free to reach out and I will get back to you as soon as I can. For those of you that are just watching because you like to see me make a fool of myself, that's cool too. And I'll see you in a couple weeks with the next lesson. Thanks, dudes.